Morning at NTV. We are live from Kampala Sarana Conference Center. I'm Andrew Chamagero. I'm on to our 1C, and today is the 1st of July 2021. A couple of things are happening around the world, but back here in Uganda, government has launched teams to verify and register the vulnerable. The teams are expected to work alongside local government agencies and all that. Now, to speak to us about this and more, we have Mr. Joel Cox Ojuko, the Vice Chairperson of the Equal Opportunities Commission. Good morning, Joel.
Good morning.
It's very, I'm happy and I'm excited to have an Equal Opportunities person on the 1st of July when we're starting on a clean slate of the new month and the new half of the year. First of all, one who is just watching here would like to know, what is the Equal Opportunities Commission mandated to redress the imbalances in Uganda during the period of COVID-19, especially for the vulnerable? Have they lived to that mandate?
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, viewers. The Equal Opportunities Commission, as you know, is a creation of the Constitution of Uganda.
Yes.
Under Article 32 of the Constitution, the Equal Opportunities Commission was created and later operationalized by the Equal Opportunities Commission Act of 2007. Now, we are there to address issues of the vulnerable people.
Yep.
And the core mandate, of course, is to eliminate all forms of discrimination
Yes.
Against individuals or groups of persons for reasons based on ethnicity, tribe, political affiliation, disability, and all those as lined up in the law. So as far as COVID-19 is concerned, of course, this is an emerging issue, a very big emerging issue, which definitely impacts the lives of Ugandans.
True.
And I'm happy to say that the Commission has been part and parcel of this whole effort of redressing the imbalances that are now coming up. We are part of the task force, the National Task Force. Our chairperson, the Honorable Safia Nalule, has been a member of this task force from inception. And now, during this second wave, we have beefed up our presence on the task force, more especially the welfare subcommittee.
So your role on the task force is welfare?
Yes,
And
we are the welfare committee.
And what models are you using to identify the vulnerables?
Of course, there are the traditional vulnerable groups already
Yes.
that have been, under
The
our mandate.
elderly, the disabled.
The older persons, the orphans, the women, that group. And now, more vulnerable people have emerged as a result of the COVID. We have identified quite a large area. There are, for example, the urban poor now, the urban workers who live from hand to mouth on a daily basis, the saloon workers, the mechanics,
Taxi touts.
yes, and many others. So all these have been carefully identified and are being addressed and are supposed to be beneficiaries of what the government has come up with to provide some stipend to them so that they are able to afford the basic needs of the day until the lockdown in which all of us are in now eventually is lifted and they resume normal work again.
Okay. When you look at the groups you've mentioned, earlier on, the president has alluded to organizing people in clusters, organize the borders, and I think they use that under the Myoga formula, where the borders are in one cluster. We have the doctors in one formula, the saloon people. Would that approach help us in this kind of scenario where we need funds and where we need to be, facilitated with relief? Would it have helped us better?
Yeah, I think. I mean, if they are carefully selected, because these are people who are known.
Keyword is carefully.
Yes, what is careful? They have to be carefully identified, and in that way, government then would be able to raise the necessary resources to address the pending issue. In any case, they are known by their leaders, local leaders, and by their employers. For example, a taxi driver is known by the owner of the taxi. He's also known by the LG chairperson of his area. So there would be an all-round identification of these vulnerable people. And so the list will be there. For example, right now, I think government has identified slightly over 500,000 vulnerable people in the cities and municipalities of Uganda. So these fellows are not just picked at random. Definitely there must be a backup, a support, clear identification by the people who know them, by the leaders
within their
communities.
Let's talk about food. Mr. Juko, what is enough food? Today they have told us they're going to give us 100,000 Ugandan shillings from the 6th of July. I'm waiting for that money. And 100K, can it be enough to maintain quality of life? And you use the word basic life needs for the 100,000. Can we thrive on 100,000? Because that means that is 2,300 Ugandan shillings per day.
Yeah, it all depends. I mean, I want to believe that the 100,000 shillings is not going to be used for buying sausages, blue band, margarine, and all that. So the basic needs are the ones to be addressed.
Food.
In other words, if you can get a kilo of beans, you can get a bar of soap, you can get cheap cooking oil and stuff like that, you know, to keep you going in the meantime, to keep you alive in the meantime. Because it is not meant really for you to spend it carelessly. The idea is to sustain your life because you're vulnerable. Until such a time, again, you bounce back to normal working conditions.
Equal rights opportunities. How safe are we going to get this money? Because previously we have had scandals where money is sent to the vulnerable and it never reaches to the intended people. I'm sure you've heard of these scandals and you've read about them. This time around, how sure are we that the intended vulnerable people are going to receive the relief?
Yeah, the task
Given
force.
that on the task force you see the modalities they
Yes,
use.
yes, yes. Yeah, we don't have to be negative. I think we are very positive.
Nice.
In the sense that there will be monitoring and evaluation of this whole new program of giving money to the vulnerable. It's not going to be left to them alone. There is going to be a follow-up. For example, one of our core mandates is to monitor and evaluate programs of government. So as EOC, definitely we are going to monitor and make reports about whether equity has been experienced and whether gender issues have been addressed, whether there has been no discrimination. So we are going to be on our toes to ensure that equity is achieved and to ensure that the vulnerable are actually served. And the intention for which this money is given is taken care of positively and to the benefit of these poor, the urban poor.
EOC, I'm sure it has been seeing a lot of messages going online when it gets to medical care. Private hospitals have been charging Ugandans exorbitant amounts of COVID-19 treatment as the Commission mandated to ensure that we have a fairly ground for every Ugandan to thrive and stay alive. What have you done about this? Have you talked to them?
Well, we are having, this is a new thing again. Of course, there are some people who are taking advantage of the situation of COVID to charge very exorbitantly. And now, we are more concerned about the poor, about the vulnerable, the older persons, the disabled, the orphans, women and children. How are they going to access health services? These are very important services for their lives. How are they going to access if the expenses involved are so high? Definitely, this is something that cannot be sorted out by only one agency, the EOC, but we really have to get together with other government agencies, and more so the health sector. The health sector is the regulator of these services.
Of course, yes.
And therefore, we have to work together with them. While we impart the idea of equity, the idea of fairness, and equal access to these very important social services.
Have we tried to look at some models that the countries have used? I'll give you an example. In the US, when we had the credit crunch, that was very, very heavy, that even some banks had to close. And when Obama came through, he said, and he actually lent money to the government, gave money to the investors who were there that they could thrive. I understand it's a capitalist approach here, that it's a private business, I'll charge how much I want. But does government entirely have to be out of it, like you charge whatever you're going to wish, depending on the need and the demand on the market?
You know, I mean, the welfare of citizens is in the hands of government. Surely government should ensure that everything is moving right, despite the abnormal conditions in which we are. All right? And so I want to believe, and I also know that government definitely, working in concert with the Ministry of Finance, are doing its best, you know, to support, for example, the private sector itself. You have heard of funds being given to Uganda Development Bank, for example, for the entrepreneurs, and you know, such other activities related to this. So I believe the government definitely, and the planning session, is doing a lot to improve these economies for the benefit of its citizens.
Okay. What is the economy, rather the commission, doing about the salary disparities in this country? Health workers are putting their lives at risk on a daily basis, and they're earning peanuts, to be honest with you. We've seen volunteers who are actually, even interns in the medical line. Why? Because we're dealing with a pandemic. They have not been given enough payment. Teachers, before they went for the lockdown, they were equally earning peanuts. Is the commission, in one way or the other, trying to look at this, how best it can come back? Because back in the day when I was young, there was a salary commission. What happened? What is the commission doing about this for fairness?
Yeah, well, the issue of salary, of course, is a big one. It has been going on for some time. But I'm happy to report that a study, a very comprehensive study, was carried out 3-4 years ago by the Equal Opportunities Commission on issues of disparities of salaries among the MDAs, ministries, departments and agencies. We came up with a very elaborate report which was launched by the Minister of Public Service and was supposed to be subjected for further discussion by cabinet, so that they arrive at fair salary distribution, so that, you know, there is uniformity in all the agencies, departments and ministries, so that if a director in the Ministry of Agriculture is earning so much, a director in another agency should earn as much because their output is the same. So these are the things that we considered, and we included them in our report, which now should be at the cabinet level.
I have seen some of your certificates you give our government agencies for compliance. How effective are they in your fight for equality? And when does one qualify that they're compliant?
You know, in the budget processes, you know, MDAs carry out. They carry out their plans, they prepare their plans, and eventually their budgets. Now, the budgets and the plans are subjected to assessment by the Equal Opportunities Commission to ensure that these entities comply with gender and equity issues. Gender and equity requirements must be embedded in the plans and budgets of all the MDAs. And we have got assessment tools that we apply to ensure that gender and equity have been complied with by the plans and budgets of these entities. Now, after the assessment, we submit to the Minister of Finance and also to Parliament to ensure that actually gender and equity is addressed.
Is addressed, yes.
Yes. So there's no way any entity can just make a plan or a budget without the assessment of the EOC.
What happens if the plan and the budgeting does not meet the equity issue and the gender balance and all that.
And then we will consult with the Minister of Finance and ensure that no certificate is issued to such an entity until and unless that compliance is there.
And have government agencies been compliant over time?
Oh yes, they've complied. Of course, others have also failed in some cases, genuinely failed. And we have done some backstopping. We have carried out trainings on how best they can include these elements in their budget and planning processes. In many cases, when they fail, when they score below 50%, then that is it. They have to redo it.
Again.
Until we are satisfied that all these elements of equity and gender are embedded in their plans and budgets.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'm still having Mr. Ujiko from the Equal Opportunity Commission. He is the deputy chairperson there. But for now, I'm joined by my colleague Scovin Sieta from West Nile. Scovin, if you can hear me, what is the latest status of the COVID-19 situation in your region?
Well, Andrew Chamagero here, yes, in Moyo, Moyo is okay, and at the moment, the issues, the trending issue here, as far as the COVID-19 is concerned, you remember yesterday the government have started registering the vulnerable people to get COVID-19 relief aid for the people. But of course, in West Nile general, when you look at the list, there are only two areas, that is Rua and Koboko municipality, that are going to benefit from this. Equally, in some of the areas in the West Nile, they were left out. So in Moyo here, the people are not happy. As of now, they don't have reason to smile to the government as far as this lockdown is concerned. And what the most important thing they expect from the government is that at least the government should come up clearly to reduce some of the restrictions, particularly the movement and other things, because the food is a necessity in the lives of the people. But as of now, they are not even benefiting from the aid the government has proposed to give to the citizen. And of course, if there's equal opportunity, then everybody should benefit from the relief. And this is the concern the people in Moyo, they are also raising this issue to the government to come to their aid to reduce some of the restrictions put by the government.
Let's talk about compliance. Are people wearing their masks? Are they adhering to the curfew hours? That said, are they avoiding crowds? What are you seeing when you walk around your town?
Well, when I moved in a town yesterday evening and in the morning, you'll find that in Moyo main market, people are really observing the SOPs. Of course, there was a big hand washing facility put at the entrance. And you'll see that every vendors in Moyo town wear face masks and have sanitizer, the small sanitizer where they can pocket even in their bag. So that's the really everything. And at the time of the curfew, people are really observing the aspect of curfew as far as the enforcement is concerned. And you'll find that by 6:30, you'll find that someone comes and remind the members of the community about the time of curfew. Then you'll find that the people respond to it and they go to their respective homes. So that is the real issue here in about the COVID-19. But of course, the major issue is yesterday when I move around, the concern is about the relief issue, whereby they are not benefiting and the lockdown is facing everybody in the country. Why is the government doing like that is a concern for the people of Moyo.
Scovin, before you go, let's talk about the children. Are the cases of domestic violence in one or the other, going up? Are children protected? What stories are you, hearing from your area about domestic violence and children?
Yes, well, the issues related to domestic violence, of course, you'll find that it's there, but to some extent, the matters may not be reported because people are just there in their homes, but of course, the children are also there. But you'll find that the children are loitering. They don't have any other aspect of going to be to have the aspect of reading, because at the moment the issue related to the reading materials provided previously by the government is no more. So at the end, the children are just loitering in a village. You will never find that a child being concentrating, apart from the few I witnessed that sometimes they go just in the whatever in the garden. Of course, the rain has also started yesterday, but you'll find that they are just making that kind of things. But otherwise, the situation on the ground is really terrible. It is really terrible.
But are the leaders doing something? What are the leaders doing about this? Because you have elected leaders there. Are they taking charge of the situation?
Well, in the perspective of the religious intervention on this, you'll find that there's 2 radio stations in Moyo, whereby the religious leaders use it to have the aspect of the preaching on Sundays. And in the process of that, of course, they also emphasize on the issues of how the people should live in whatever in this time of the lockdown. Of course, everybody is now coping up with the situations. But of course, you'll find that when you just move around, you'll find that there are some people just have that aspect of waiting whether the government is going to add another day, because they are really unaware what is going to be after the 42 days again. But of course, the most important thing at the moment here is how this government is going to help the situation and relieve some of the restriction in the perspective of the lockdown. And that is the only thing that the people are making. Otherwise, observing of the SOP is really people adhering to the guidelines given by the Ministry of Health.
Thank you so much, Scovin. That is my colleagues. Please stay safe, Scovin. I need you alive. Wear your mask and sanitizers and whenever you can.
Thank you.
Here's Scovin. He's in West Nile there. The thing is about equality at the same time. They still feel that maybe the Kampala people already received the relief and it has just not reached us. And from what he has submitted, it's a little bit queer, but the leadership on ground seems to be not in tandem with the task forces. What's your comment on that?
Oh, yes. Thanks, Andrew. I know that there are district task force committees as well.
Yes.
Alongside the national task force. And by now, I'm sure they should be sensitizing the communities on what to expect. Because the first phase, as you know, of this relief distribution is for the urban poor, the urban vulnerables,
Yes.
as it were. So perhaps that person deep in the village may not be a beneficiary for the time being, because these things are moving in stages. The vulnerable groups that have been identified are in the cities, like, for example, the city of Kampala and the city of Arua, which is nearest to the person who has just
Very
been on
close,
TV.
yes.
And then the municipalities as well. So while the expectations may be very high, I think the other communities elsewhere in the villages and the rural areas may have to wait for a bit of time. But of course, equity will prevail eventually to cover all these groups.
Okay, what changes have come because of your refusal to give out to some people certificates, agencies that are not compliant, even in the work of relief where the likes of Scovin feel like, you know, they're unfairly treated? What are the repercussions for those agencies?
I have not got the question well. Can you repeat it?
We need to know as Ugandans, because we need to know, I went in this agency, I applied for this, I was denied a chance because of A, B, C, D.
But why would you be denied? Definitely, perhaps if there's no reason, then surely this is something to take up.
Okay.
I mean, why? The question is, why were you denied access to services or access to certain government good or benefits like other citizens? So if you can give a reason that I was denied on the basis of discrimination because I am male or because I'm disabled or because I'm an older person, and then that's when we'll take it up.
Okay.
We'll take it up, investigate it, and if it is found to be true, then we will handle it at a tribunal level.
Okay. If a Ugandan wants to reach out to the equal opportunities, are your offices countrywide or are they just in Kampala and the rest you can log on to the website?
Yeah, you can log on to the website, all right? At the moment, we have got only one office in Kampala, Bogolobi, Kimathi Close. Now, we have, of course, our website as well, We have a toll-free line where you can reach us, or physically, you can move over to our offices.
So how does someone register or lodge in a complaint if they're in Mitoma district?
Yes.
And they have a complaint? Maybe they're two investors, a Ugandan and a foreign, and they have both applied for a particular government land, and it's given to the other person and it's not given to the Ugandan. How can they apply for, equality from you guys?
Oh, well, equality would be applicable to everybody, definitely. I mean, if it is only one piece of land and there are two applicants, obviously it will go to one of them. And depending on, the stronger reasons that they've given for getting that land. But if it is discovered that actually the land was given to one applicant to the disadvantage of the other, based on discrimination of any sort, that is where we shall have to make interventions.
So how does someone in that kind of situation in Mitoma access you, Equal Opportunity Commission?
Andrew, we move all over the country. We carry out investigations all
Isn't
over
it better
the
to just set regional offices? Have you thought about that?
That is what, actually, that is one of the priorities now we have. We are waiting for government to do the funding, and then we begin now to spread out into the regions, so that our presence is felt everywhere in the country. But for now, we carry out sessions in all the districts of Uganda. We carry out investigations. We do research in all districts of Uganda, and tribunal activities. So we are known in every corner of this country. When you have a complaint, you may either send to us by email, or you may come to Kampala, or you may wait for us, or invite us to come over at our own expense to carry out investigations and hear out your complaints. And then we will determine it, perhaps through mediation or through fully blown tribunal activities, depending on the gravity of the complaint.
Okay. If you're Ugandan, you'll just log on this, even when you're not in the country. Just log on to www.equalopportunitiesuganda, www.eoc.go.ug. And there is a toll-free number you talked about.
Yes.
So a couple of people don't have the data because today the taxes have started. So you could, in case you have something you want to ask them, Chairman, do you have that number? Okay, let me try to find the number. In case you want to contact them, you even have a portal where this information is. The toll-free number is 0800 100 440. 0800 100 440. So if you feel you're one Ugandan who is on the other side and unfairly treated, or at times you miss out on opportunities, you can lodge in your complaint to the Equal Rights Opportunity. If you were in one or the other, discriminated based on tribe, religion, culture, whichever it is, whether disability, they'll be in position to actually run this. Chairman, while you're finalizing this, Deputy Chairman, what are your parting shots to Ugandans, especially in this week of COVID-19?
Thank you, Andrew, again. My appeal to all Ugandans is, first of all, to observe the standard operating procedures.
True.
And to remain safe and alive. As a matter of fact, we are carrying out media campaigns in all parts of the country, on local radios and television, so that we become really part of this protection, we become part of the COVID-19 fight. So my appeal really to our people is that let them observe these operating procedures, let them really observe so that they remain alive. And we undertake to redress the imbalances that may exist or may emerge during this COVID-19 period. We are there to ensure that there's no discrimination. We are there to ensure equity for all Ugandans.
It's key.
Yes, we don't want marginalization of whatever kind.
Okay.
We must all lead a respectable life.
As Ugandans.
No one must be taken to the margin. The little that is there, the cake, the national cake, we should be able to access all the services, the health services, the education services, without discrimination whatsoever.
Wow. There you have it. That is Mr. Joel Ojuko, the Vice Chairperson of the the Equal Opportunity Commission, and it's something you need to start to go and read about online if you didn't know about them. Well, I'll take a break for now. It's still morning at NTV. Good morning.